drill bits are here, and the drill press is way over there, so we may have to adjust the mate. Dudettes and dudes, welcome back to the channel. Super awesome shop upgrades have been completed, and to be honest with you, they've been completed for a couple weeks. So we're done. It's a little bit messy out here still. I've been cleaning up. We got to get the metal trailer emptied, and we got to get to the tire store and make a deal on getting rid of some old rubber. But our scrap lumber and some of our other logs and just cribbing and stuff, it all got tossed into this International. There's some other, miscellaneous stuff in the cab of that truck. The fishing poles are in the cab of the Studebaker truck, trying to stay out of the weather. And then there's some other odds and ends kind of stuck in the dart back here, but we kind of rearranged. But let's start outside here. We got our tank. It was, like I said before, over yonder, right there, and we moved it here yonder. John helped with that. You saw him in the last video. And then we dug a trench, and I apologize, the heat is in and on, but that week of the installation, go watch the video. We did installation on Wednesday. The HVAC people showed up on Thursday. It was a whirlwind of activity. The co-op came and pressure tested the cylinder on Wednesday, or the tank on Wednesday, and then they were back on Thursday to try and get one leaky valve fixed. In the meantime, HVAC guys were here hanging the heater and plumbing that, and then they came back Friday, got it fired up. The co-op guys came back out, made sure the new valve they put on would work, and then on December 8th at about like 4:30, quarter to 5, they unhooked after dropping off 215 gallons of propane in that bad ride, and I've been living in the luxuries ever since. So then we took just a few days, and you saw the mess we made and the stuff everywhere inside. We kind of got that sorted out, and then we had to take about a week and a half more just to get to a point where we can get back to work. But let's go inside and see the results and feel the results. I'm working on the weather stripping on the door too. Mackie coming in, he's hiding behind the truck. For some reason he just likes it outside. He's fluffy, so he's okay. Here we go. It is currently 62 degrees in here. There's our heat unit, radiant tube heater. It's 40 feet long. The exhaust, we'll go take a closer look, but it goes straight out and then exhausts out the wall about 3 feet outside, and then does its thing. It's 2-stage, so it means it normally runs just normally, and normally, anyway, that's a lot of normalies. But if, like for instance, when I finally had a plan on bringing some of these cars back in, because the Fury and the Ford that we're building for Jalen were parked outside during the last couple phases. And so when we decided to bring them in, and I brought the blue F-250 in, all at once, it got cold in here. It started cooling off, and then it kicked into high gear. And I'll tell you what, I was over here, we're doing some carb work on the bench, sitting in this stool, probably 20 feet from there, and I didn't know it kicked on high, but I started, the back of my neck and my shoulders instantly started getting warm, and I looked back, and maybe this thing will kick on while we're on the video here, but right there's a little sight glass in the tube, and it was a little more orangey looking than I previously had seen. And then there's an additional light. There's a green light. It says it's power. and then there's one orange light for phase one. Oops, one orange light for phase one up there. And when it kicks into high gear, you get 2 oranges and a green. And I'll tell you what, it took maybe 10 minutes of that thing, you know, working a little harder, and it was right back to 62 balmy degrees. We've got the digital programmable thermostat, kind of like what you'd have in your homes. So we can program it for weekdays and weekends, and by 8:30 it's woke up and it's 62 degrees in this shop, and it'll stay that way either until nighttime comes or I tell it to go down. Now these radiant jobs, you don't turn them all the way down or off at night, because what happens, and you can probably, we brought him in a little bit earlier, he's not warm to the touch, but when you're right underneath this thing, you can walk up to this stuff when it's running, and what it does is it heats the objects with science, and that's all I know about it. But it, you know, so it's heating the material possessions, not just the air, and then they're cycling the air around the building as well, allegedly. But the thing is, if you let everything get cold, then it has to work really hard to warm everything back up. So we go down to right now 54 degrees at night, and it comes up to 62 during the day. We're about 41 feet by 55 feet, all finished off in here. And you know, right here we expect, I got my little infrared, let's see what Sparky's doing. 65.5. So right underneath the tube here is just a little bit warmer, but the thermostat is on the east wall. And what I'm impressed with, I haven't had a fan going in here or nothing. It's just, you know, it's all shut up and it's just radiant heat. We're gonna go back to this corner, and keep in mind we've got our thermostat set at 62. Let's shoot this shelf right here. 61.3, less than a degree drop. We're getting back under the heater here. The press, 62.6. That corner back there should be the coldest we will experience. Let's take a walk over there and check that out. So let's reach back in here as far as we can. We aren't going to get all the way back to the corner, and I'll do a little tour of where everything moved to here in a second, but this is just about as far as we can get away from the radiant heat. Let's shoot this table saw right here. 61 even. 1 degree of drop in the entire building from one corner to another. Now there are items that are warmer than what we're set at, but the thermostat doesn't get the radiant heat. It's out of that direct line and off to the side. So I'm super pleased with that. I thought maybe I'd have to get a fan in the corner or one of those big honking ceiling fans or something, but I think we're fine. We're going to be just fine. And another thing, now I've heard people have said, other people's, that radiant heat's great, but when you're down on the ground, you get cold. I have not experienced that. I've been catching up on some regular mechanic work. We're getting back into classics here, and the special is going to be kicking off a transmission video. But I've been all around in this area, not necessarily right underneath the heater. I've been on the ground over here working, back here under the Blazer doing some work, under the Bronco doing some work, and I'm telling you, it ain't cold under there. I don't feel it. I'm no more LJs, no long johns. I go to work now. I do wear the insulated socks because I'm only at my feet. I don't like the feet to get cold. But otherwise, I got a t-shirt on, jeans, and then I wear the footy. But and when I really get going on something, if I'm working in this area right here, sometimes I go down to a t-shirt because, you know, I start to sweat. I'm sweating in the shop in December. How awesome is that? I'm just loving it. So tour-wise, things have moved. The Bronco's still here. It's back. It's handy to have right there. We're working on it still, and look for some updates on that. We got to get rust issues fixed in the back. But my Jeep, you know, we had it way over here, and it was fine back there in the corner, but at the same time, it was actually easier to get that corner stuff out than this. And this Jeep does not have to move anywhere until spring, except tomorrow it's supposed to be like 55 degrees here. And I think we might squeeze it out side Friday, not tomorrow, Friday. Yeah, tomorrow is Friday. Friday before Christmas. And wash it off and then bring it back in and put the cover on it so it doesn't just get dustier than crud. The Blazer's here. We can easily roll it back and forth to move on it. We've been doing that. It is a little echoey. Comment if you notice that in the video. The Fury, of course, that's our project car that's ongoing, so it needs to move in and out of a workspace. And then Jalen's truck, it doesn't look like it, but it's easy. Even if we have to move the Fury forward and move the truck over a little bit, it's going to be easier to access the ones we need to access this way. We've moved one bench from over here. We bought some shelves, and I'll get to that. But we've made this corner. We left the tire machine here because, quite frankly, it's too heavy to move anywhere. Batteries are still back there. The ladders, once we, you know, settle in, we're going to need more room to work around the tire machine here. They're going to go back on the back wall somewhere. But otherwise, this little area here has become the welding area, or at least the area where we're going to do our metal fab work. We store our welders. We moved the drill over here, and we're going to try it. And then that's used to be our welding bench, but now it's just kind of a storage rack, has some tools and this and that and the other. But so we moved all this stuff over here. We're going to try and keep this area a little bit open for projects and things. And then we've got our new roly-poly welder bench that, you know, we did some painting on, and it's holding up some body filler right now and other stuff. It's just a bench at this point. But yeah, that's that. Four-wheelers are basically in their same spot. Jalen's toolbox is mobile, no big deal. This bench is mobile, no big deal. And then a lot of our roly-poly accessories, we've got a miter saw and a stand, a table saw. We've got the brake. It's in a spot where it can come out a little easier. The sandblaster, quite honestly, can be used right here, which is fine by me. The Maytag's just in storage. And then we've got a bandsaw, and what else is back there? There's some other tools back there. But they're all on wheels. We can get to them if we need to, but I tried to kind of prioritize, you know, obviously what we might use the most to, we're probably not using that stuff way back in the corner very often, especially now that super duper awesome shop grades are done. This bench is on wheels, so it's mobile. It can get moved around as needed. We are pretty crammed in here. The one thing, we didn't gain any space. I don't know why. I was kind of hoping, you know, I had it in my mind that when we get all this done, for somehows we're going to end up with more room. No, we didn't end up with any more room. Let's rock around this way though. The 427 is gone. It's not gone, but it's gone from here. So right inside the front door, we're going to have jack stands, all of our jacks. And then, you know, we swept every inch of this floor. We knocked down cobwebs. We cleaned as much as we could. And by we, I mean, I did. Jalen helped some. This bench was here before, and it's back. Air compressor hasn't moved. We did put up a Christmas tree from that's one off of the tractor parade. Go look at that video too. That was a good night. Waste oil, used antifreeze, log chains, that kind of stuff there. Bench here. We had our bolt bin there. It's moved to this side where that other bench over by the welder used to live. So it's happy here. Toolbox. And then this was, you know, we spent several days just trying to get better organized. We need efficiency, and we need to be able to find stuff when we're looking for it. So I bought 2 more shelf units at the greatest place on earth. We've got all of our lubricants, greases, oils, antifreezes, all, laid out. We know what we have. Then we get into waxes, protectants, detailing stuff, cleaners, degreasers, carb kits are up here. All those little packages and boxes of different types of special fasteners go there. Drill bits are here, and the drill press is way over there. So we may have to adjustimate why the drill bits are over here. But rags, and we got bug cleaner and towels and whatever else. This is our little peg hook section. I want to bring another one of these over from the other shed. Right now I just don't know where we would put it, but it's a little cluttered. We're trying to get organized, but at some point we just had to stop and say, we're good, let's get back to work. The shop fridge, very important, stayed where it was, and it's just lovely. It's loving a consistent temperature in here. Jeep trailers here. We've got, there's some stuff, laying around. Oh, those are Christmas presents. Family eye muffs, don't look at that. But yeah, we still got stuff kind of sorted around and that we need to figure out a permanent home. This is a little bit messy. Another shelf unit here. It's going to be a combination of paint in these sections and then fasteners down here. And then as we get some time, we're going to have to, figure out exactly what we have for, these are like screws and staples and nails and construction screws and stuff. And then, in the middle of nowhere here, we got headlight refinishing kits. So generators, maybe eventually they'll find a home in the other building. We got some tires and vintage wheels back here, an extra welding cart. Somebody want a cheap welding cart, hit me up. We'll let her go really cheap. The old stick welder, probably not going to use it much, if at all. So it's way back here in the corner. But we're going to hang on to it just in case. Parts washer, that's one of the things that did not go on that other wall over there, because we're going to use this quite often and we need access to it. And it's always been kind of handy when we're working up here just to walk back here. It's far enough away from sparks and other ignition sources up there, and it's still useful back here. And we have better light back here for when we're cleaning stuff. We built these shelves, so trying to get organized. This is kind of our stash of parts. Some of this stuff is waiting to go on customer cars and project cars. Some of it is overstock. Some of it is wrong parts that quite honestly cost more to return ship than it would to just keep in hand. In hand? On hand. Anyway, so like, what do we got? We got a slant 6 carb kit here. We've got we've got F250 stuff. We've got Torino Galaxy rear wheel cylinders because I ordered the wrong number. Some odds and ends of gaskets. You never know what you're going to need. But we've got it all kind of in one spot. These shelves still need a little bit more organizing. These were old shelves that we had back here, but they're better than they were. We didn't put the engine hoist or the press on the far wall either, because they need to be more easily accessed. And from here we can go all the way around and roll them out that way if we need to, or we can roll the blazer forward, get them out, and then put the blazer back. The golf cart is tucked behind the Fury. It's got some odds and ends and junk on it, but it's obviously not getting anything done with it until, at least springtime. During the summer we got a couple feelers out on a couple power plants, but nothing hardcore. So it's just sitting here waiting. And then we get to this row of steel. This is engine row. We've got, there's the 427, the second one. That's what was at the front of the shop. We've got the carbureted 4.3 for the Willys. And on the other side of that, we have the original Willys flat 4 block, and then a slant 6. Again, automatic transmission slant 6, I think out of a 62, maybe an Imperial. But anyway, automatic transmission is the key. Slant 6, it's supposed to be a runner, but, and we'll sell that. That's for sale, cheap as well. I don't have a use for it right now. And then this engine is a 3.5 late model GM engine. It's going in the Impala outside to be my daughter's first car. And then we have an 8.8, that's for the Dart. So yeah, the 383 in the other Plymouth is going in the Dart, and then the 8.8 is going to be the rear end for that. It's about a posi, by the way. So that's the shop. Like I said, it's 62 degrees. We got some of our signage up. We've done a little decorating. We've got most of it sealed up. We found bright white colored spray foam. So sometime in the next few days, we're going to be going and taking the covers off and spritzing a little foam in where the wires come in, and then spritzing foam around the outside of the boxes, between that and the fiberglass insulation, and trying to really seal it up. The garage door seals great, open and shuts great. We did finish the attic access. It has 2 layers of R19 batting on it, so everything up here is insulated, and life is pretty good. We did 1 light on that rail of the garage door, and I think we're gonna put another one right here on this one. But I got to get up there when this thing's in afterburner mode or whatever, on at least, and make sure that that's not going to get too hot up there. I don't think it will, because it's kind of off to the side, but I don't know that yet. So yeah, you don't have a phase 6 video, but you have an it's all done video. We are back in business. As far as project updates, like I said, the Buick is under the knife. The Blazer is remarkably close to being done. We're tidying up a couple things. The 58 Buick Special needs some transmission work. It's coming out to get sealed up. And then we've got rear shocks. And then we get to play with the paint and make it look good and all shiny on the outside again. So that's happening sooner than later. We've got Bronco stuff coming. We've got the engine on the stand over by the welding stuff. It's in progress. And then out here, we haven't touched it yet because we kind of bought it in the middle of all this, you know, shop upgrade stuff. But we've got the Hemi DeSoto that we haven't even, we put it here and it sat here. So we got to get air in that tire. We're going to bring it up and do, you know, it hasn't run in probably 20 years. But it looks like it's may run, so that's on the list, and it ain't gonna be too far off. I think that's enough rambling for now. We're gonna see, and I'll report back to you about propane use and how much it's costing to heat this place. So I don't know why I'm standing outside. It's 38 outside. I'm gonna go warm up in the shop now. Appreciate y'all. See you on the next video. So nice and warm.